Steve Jobs need no introduction, as even the kids around us are very well aware of this guy. He was more than just the co-founder of Apple Computer and the brain behind the reinvention of companies like Pixar Animation Studios. Steve Jobs has always been a creative genius who pioneered the transformation of the computer industry and came forward to introduce revolutionary products like iMac. Just like most other heroes, the journey of Steve Jobs also had a fair share of hardships and downfalls. Steve Jobs stood up through every rise and fall, taking it as an opportunity to turn things around and move the industry that he created towards a better future. Right from the start, Steve Jobs was a very special guy who was a born genius. Almost immediately after his birth, his biological parents, Abdul Fattah Jandali and Joanne Carol Schiable, unaware of the wonder they had made, gave him up for adoption. Soon, Paul and Clara Jobs, a working-class couple, adopted the baby. From a very young age, Steve Jobs was seen fascinated by the power and intricacy of computers. What kick-started his love for machines was from his mechanic father's family garage, where he worked by taking apart cars and putting them back together. His father taught him to pay attention to detail, which Jobs said is a mantra for Apple that has helped to set it apart from the competitors. At school, Steve Jobs was a genius who at the age of 12 called HP founder Bill Hewlett in order to ask for some electronic parts for a school project. Hewlett was so impressed by Jobs that he offered him a summer internship, where he met Steve Wozniak. Growing up, he never enjoyed school, and ended up dropping out of college after the first semester but continued to attend the classes that interested him. One of the classes he was interested in was calligraphy, which led to his love for typography. Soon, Steve Jobs started to work at Atari as a video game designer and then visited India in order to find spiritual enlightenment. Steve Jobs started a partnership with Steve Wozniak that proved to be outstanding. They started up with the Blue Box, which is a wireless system that could be used for free to make long-distance calls. This slowly led to the start of the first ever Apple machine. After relentless efforts and chasing behind investors to fund them, Apple was started with a big bang that made the news headlines. He was one of the youngest people who was included on the Forbes list of the richest people in the country. A great achievement that he made without any inherited family wealth. His life gave him a push that made him fall when he was fired from the Macintosh Group. But the departure was an establishment to the new beginnings of his fame. He stood up being strong and went on establishing his new company, Next Computer Company. After many ups and downs, Jobs set a classic example of attempting relentless efforts to reinvent oneself in order to succeed. Later, Next merged up with Apple to give us the iOS that we use today. But this didn't satisfy Jobs, as he always wanted to build a big empire. He invested in a startup that was called Graphics Group, now known as Pixar. Steve Jobs was successful enough to revive the company and bring it back in the same successful phase as it had in the 70s. His vision of relentless innovation made Apple a huge success. With Jobs' return to Apple, he introduced several feats, that include the iMac and the installation of the G3 PowerPC microprocessor. Apple launched devices like the iPod, iPhone, and iPad that shaped and changed the lives of millions across the world. Everything was back to normal and going perfectly well. But unexpectedly, what utterly shocked the world when he was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer of the pancreas. Jobs declined to see and obtain any medical care from a doctor. Instead, he turned to natural techniques such as dependence on herbal juices, vegan diets, that he felt would cure his disease. But his plans backfired, fatally worsening his health. He resigned from Apple after a few years when Jobs could no longer work normally. He continued to work at Apple and died calmly, surrounded by family, 6 weeks after his last day of work. Although the life of Steve Jobs was short, his legacy still continues. His life is an example for millions that how failure can bring new opportunities in life and how to restructure the failure into a success story. If you got any kind of motivational with these videos, so please subscribe our channel and comment your favorite part and like our video. Thanks for watching.